I need your help finding this game. Imagine this. You're on your computer late at night. Maybe you're playing games with friends, maybe you're talking on the forums, but imagine you're on the internet late at night. As you're browsing the web, you're somehow reminded of the 2010s, the year of the creepypasta, the EXE, the olden, hyper-realistic, made-for-reactions horror. But more specifically, you remember a game you watched when you were younger, and maybe you want to find it again, relive some nostalgia. However, no matter how hard you look, how long you search, through channels you could have sworn played it, and names you could have sworn it went by, nothing comes up. It's as though it never existed at all. But it had to have, right? It couldn't have just been a fever dream, could it? Welcome to the search for the Smile Train. Now, I briefly talked about it on livestream once, but to sum it up, the Smile Train, or the Laughing Train, was a 2010s RPG Maker horror game that was relatively short. I remember watching a playthrough of the game back when I watched CutCafe during his gaming channel days. However, looking through the horror games playlist nowadays, there's no trace of it, save for 2 private videos. Now, I believe one of those 2 videos are a short playthrough of the game, and possibly the only footage left of the game's existence. But before we go through with investigating, let's learn a little more about the specifics of this game. As stated before, the game was either called the Smile Train or the Laughing Train. It was posted to Game Jolt and was fairly clearly made in RPG Maker sometime in the 2010s during the Sonic.exe creepypasta era of gaming. The game had a very basic cartoony style, however the horror moments of the game would often add hyper-realistic eyes and mouths poorly photoshopped onto the images. At the start of the game, the characters were all on a train. You and all the other characters were various animals. There were 2 to 3 friends and you yourself. At least one of them was a rabbit of some kind and the other was a tiger or tabby cat. After sitting down, you and the other characters begin talking about rumors as you wait for the train to make it to its destination. The writing was pretty basic, likely written by a younger developer, but the characters explain how when the train goes under the tunnel, there's a rumor that you have to laugh or else you get cursed. As you're all talking, the train goes under the tunnel, but seeing as you're distracted with the conversation and asking questions, you don't get the chance to laugh in time. The screen goes black and it's completely silent. You didn't laugh. And the image for the character shows the hyper-realistic version with the photoshopped eyes and mouth. After a bit, you're brought back to the train. However, it's completely empty, and the player character remarks the fact their friends are missing. They at first think it's a prank of some kind, but eventually become scared. Part of me remembers the train being red in this scene, but I'm not 100% sure, so take that with a grain of salt. Eventually, they leave, trying to explore the outside of the train. However, leaving shows in the top right corner that they've arrived in hell. I think this was the only part of the game that you could actually play through, though even so, there was no real gameplay. The game mostly amounted to walking around aimlessly and talking to NPCs. There was no way to actually die or game over, and there were no battles or chase sequences. In this area, the tile sets were all done in this colored pencil drawing style, with these shadowy figures slowly walking around the space in random directions. Best description would be the bed amalgam from Undertale, but black and colored in with pencil. There's a pretty good chance they were scanned in. There weren't many rooms. I think at most there were 2 to 3 rooms you had to go through, but I distinctly remember that the room with the shambling shadowy figures was the last room, and the first room was a basic winding hallway that zigzagged with NPCs as you go up. These NPCs being of our friends, which would show the hyper-realistic smile version saying ominous stuff, usually just creepypasta quotes. Eventually though, after leaving the last room, the screen goes black again, where our character cries saying that they want to go home. After a few seconds, the sound of a train can be heard and laughing, where we fade back in on the train with all of our friends. Some dialogue happens showing that nobody remembers anything happening when we went under the tunnel and calls us a crybaby. From there, the game would end. However, right before we return the title screen, the game would give us a fake out, cutting to black again with a smiley version of one of our friends and one last spooky line of dialogue. Now, the game was pretty cliche and not very good. Like I said, it was likely from a beginner dev after they got RPG Maker for the first time, but I remember CutCafe being pretty nice to the game, in his short horror games playlist to be exact, though unfortunately it's not on there. Well, save for 2 unavailable videos. Could one of the 2 videos seen here be the game? Assuming it is one of those 2 private videos, how do we get our hands on it? Well, CutCafe is still an active YouTuber, having switched their content to more of a commentary style. They still get a lot of views, and I imagine a lot of emails, but it doesn't hurt to try, right? And so, I sent him an email on July 6th. To Ken, one of your private videos might have lost media. The Smile Train Let's Play. Hey Ken, I'm making a video on a lost media game that was called either the Smile Train or the Laughing Train, an old super short RPG Maker horror game. The reason I'm emailing you is because you made a playthrough of it back in the early 2010s. And as such, I'm fairly confident it's one of the 2 unavailable videos found in your short horror games playlist, linked here. Do you think you could check through your old videos and see if your private videos have a playthrough of this game? And if so, do you think you could send me a download of that old video? I've been trying to find this game for ages, and we're pretty sure the original developer may have deleted the game off GameJolt entirely, meaning your old Let's Play on it might be the only remaining trace of its existence. Please let me know if you have it or if you have any further questions. Signed, Spice from CutCafe. 7 days later, we got no response. Which is bad, because he has the only footage I remember existing of the game. Well, now what? Well, since it's been a long time since I searched for the game, I've picked up on some newer searching tactics. Especially seeing as nowadays, if you look it up, you see a different game with a similar title. So I used advanced search to force it to only look around the time it would have been made. I kept looking up different titles. The Smile Train RPG Maker horror game. The Laughing Train horror game GameJolt. Game where you must laugh on a train RPG Maker horror. But nothing. Until I found this post on the RPG Maker forums. OMG, trains! I am so happy to see this. I have a train station in my game. Do I have permission to edit for the purpose of my game? I won't redistribute, of course. I just need to edit some of the coloring to make it fit the scene a bit better. Leandra Ora, a dev from 2013, was working on a game with trains that change color. Now, is this a stretch? Almost certainly, but I was desperate, okay? There have been no leads, except for one by an extremely popular creator that chances are didn't even see it. And so, I began searching through their posts. Leandra seemed to be incredibly active up until 2019, meaning not only was there a lot to go through, but even if I did find something, I couldn't even message them directly through the forums, because they weren't active anymore. Though, there were some odd things here too. In multiple posts, they talk about a game called Legends of Idlimara, which strangely doesn't seem to exist. Even when doing advanced searches on Google, not even the forums show up, which is weird because she's clearly talking about it here. She even mentions a Facebook account for the game, which sets a dangerous precedent. A game can exist and just not be searchable through Google. So was this the developer of the Smile Train? Of course not. In 2019, they said they have a son, and even if that was a joke, she mentions 3 years earlier having a wife from Japan. And no hate to the developer, but there is absolutely no way that adult made the Smile Train. I'm sorry. But we do have something going for us. That being these forums. You see, I remember back when I used RPG Maker MV a bunch that you had to sign up with an account to attach your license to. Which means on the off chance that the dev posted anything about it, it'll be here where Google fails. So I began searching up keywords again. Nothing. Back to square one. I went back to GameJolt. Nothing. I checked my email again in case they responded. Nothing. And more than anything, I was just tired. Because I knew I only had one option left. Reddit. Ugh, I know. I didn't want it to come to this either, okay? But it was my only option. Now, there's a subreddit made for finding games. It's effectively the step you need to take before calling something lost media. And for me to make a Reddit post about this is a nerve-wracking thing, especially because this game sounds like something a 12-year-old made up as a spooky lost media story. So it's hard to gauge. But eventually, I made a separate account and posted the following. Hello, folks. I've been trying to find this game for a long while now, and I'm starting to worry that's lost media. The game was either called the Smile Train or the Laughing Train. Below, I've included as much detail as I can, but you're more than welcome to ask for clarification. I have the template filled out below, though I have a more detailed version underneath it with a more linear explanation of the exact gameplay and all the details I can recall from it. After that, I just detail everything you've already heard about the game. And once again, we wait. Within 25 minutes, I got this response. Looks like our one lead was a dead end. Yo, managed to get the titles of the lost videos and actual archive pages, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Are you absolutely sure that it was Cinnamon Toastkin? The links to the private videos weren't the Smile Train. This is actually quite the revelation to me. Huh. Up until right now, I was absolutely certain that it was him who played it. Now I'm not really sure who played it then. I was at a loss for words. The one main detail I remembered was completely wrong. I didn't know what to do. If I got this wrong, how much more could have possibly been wrong? Was this whole game just a fever dream I had? Was it even real? It had to be, right? After a few more days of no response, I was hoping to make another Reddit post, this time to the Lost Media subreddit. However, problem is, my post was now against the rules. In order to post there, you need to have external evidence that your topic existed. But now that we know that the Cinnamon Toastkin private videos weren't of the game, I have no physical proof. But not all was lost though. Another place that has a good concentrated section of the Lost Media community is the Lost Media Wiki forums. Although not as seen by newbies in the Lost Media community, a lot of veterans frequent there, meaning if there's any chance of me finding my game, it's here. And so, after wading through the verification process, I posted a long thread about it and went to bed. There was no response. Though if you were super observant, you might have noticed a little button labeled Discord server. And another problem, the Discord has different rules than the forums. You see, there's a section in the Discord where you can post much like you can the forums about lost, found, or partially found media. And seeing as the Discord is easier to access, they put in the same rules as the subreddit has, being that you have to have physical proof that it exists. Which again, I completely understand, but the fact I don't have physical proof anymore is my problem, because Cinnamon Toastkin apparently never played it. So as the cycle of madness bequeaths, I'm back here again. I went back to searching on YouTube, but I just kept getting obvious red herrings like Cocomelon but from Ohio Scary, or Guy farts while trying to lift 185 pounds. Now you guys already saw it, but this was about when I decided the only way this could be found was to make a mock-up of the game. You see, I used to use RPG Maker MV a lot as a kid, and so given how short the game was, I figured I could recreate it pretty closely to what the game was. I have a game jolt link of the recreation down below if you want to look at without my narration over it, including a mode that adds clarifications and lets you walk around some of the areas you couldn't in the original. But otherwise, this might be lost. As a reminder, the game was likely made by a kid, and I remember YouTube making a video playing through it, so I don't know if maybe some people who watched the YouTuber thought the game was cringe and harassed the dev until they took it down, especially given this was made during the whole DeviantArt cringe era of the internet, or if maybe they just grew older and weren't as proud of the game, taking it down and asking the YouTuber to as well. But if there's even a chance of finding this game, then I need your help. You're welcome to comment down below or email me personally if you think you found anything of note, but otherwise this might just be the end. I do have another game as well that's also lost, so I might do another video delving into that one too in a few months if this hunt goes successful, but given that other game has less info and being much older, I have way more faith that the Smile Train might be found compared to that other Lost Media game. Anyways, thanks for watching. Try and share it around by liking or commenting so the algorithm helps to show it to more people that might know something about this game. This was Spice from CutCafe, and I'll see you folks around. Peace!